Howdy and welcome to this podcast, which is all about helping you turn your passion into a thriving business. I'm Henry, and today I want to share something I think is rarely shared in the business community, and that is how to overcome anxiety, fear, and stress in business. Because let's face it, there's a lot of uncertainty both in business and in life. If you want to start building a business, you won't know what's going to happen, and you won't really know what's going to happen in life either. So we're going to look at how to overcome all of that in this episode, or at least how to minimize it. Because I've struggled with a lot of this, because I'm your classic overachiever and perfectionist, or at least I used to be more than I am now. I want things to be perfect, and I want my goals to be here now. But life doesn't quite work that way, and neither does business. So what I want to cover is why it is this way and how I've learned to drastically minimize the anxiety surrounding business and following your passion. So with that said, let's dive right into the meat here and start with the problem, the why. So in the past, I used to spend every waking minute working, or at least I tried to. I constantly thought about how I could make my business grow more, what I could do to improve, and it was driving me crazy. I just constantly felt like I needed to do something so I could feel successful. Now notice I say feel, because most people are constantly trying to do something to feel something. And that's backwards, as you'll soon see. Now, I've been like this for many years. I remember back to my childhood where I was always this overachiever and perfectionist. I wanted things to get done my way, and I wanted them to get done fast. If it didn't happen, I would get frustrated. So it's only in the past few years that I've started to let this go, but it's still there, and I mean, that's okay. That seems to be a part of me, and that's fine. Now, what I've done is, in the past, I tried to find happiness by making more money, or traveling, or making friends, or finding relationships, or whatever it was. I've been there and I've done what I thought would make me happy. And it comes back to this thing of trying to make myself feel better by doing more or having more. And as long as you're trying to get more of anything and you think that's going to make you happy, it isn't. And in the end, it didn't really work for me either. I ended up coming very close to burnout because I was constantly living in the future. I was constantly thinking about, okay, well, if I could only get that amount of money, or if I could get success like that person, or whatever it was, I was living in the future and hoping that I would be saved in some way, because if something could happen, I would just feel better. And eventually I just realized that there would be no salvation in the future, because even when the future comes, it comes as the present moment. And when you really look at something like uncertainty or anxiety, how you develop those feelings, so to speak, you have to go into the future and you have to imagine something that's bad. And the problem with going into the future is that when you can't really deal with something that isn't here now. So it creates this constant loop of anxiety, fear, and stress. And we have to break that loop, which is exactly what we'll be doing. So I want to go even deeper into this, because the real problem here is believing the thoughts you have. And this may seem crazy to you, but it'll make complete sense if you go inside and investigate. Because you see, most people are run by their thoughts. So if a thought pops up that you're not good enough, you believe it and you dive deeper into the thought and paint disaster scenarios in your head. And this is really the big problem. Once you become aware of what's going on inside your head, and you become aware of the fact that you are not your thoughts, you will feel more at peace. Because even if a thought comes up that says you're doing this wrong, or if, let's say, take a classic example of you're writing an article and you get a thought of this is not good enough, you're not going to write an article that people are going to like. Now, instead of believing that thought like most people do, you can just simply let it be and not get involved. Now, obviously, if you're writing, you should make sure everything's in place, but let's assume you're writing good stuff and the problem is that you're insecure about your writing and you need to get it out there. In that case, this will help. Because if you can notice what's really going on, it'll dramatically reduce stress and anxiety in your life, and maybe even change your whole life, because it has changed mine. It's a complete shift of perspective. You go from living in your thoughts to living really as the awareness behind your thoughts. Now, before we dive into the solution, I just want to say that I started playing with this stuff around 1 decade ago. So I've been at this on and off for a pretty long time, and it's been a journey of constant evolution for me. But at the same time, everything you need is available right here. But sometimes we aren't ready for everything, so it seems like a process. And I don't really consider myself an expert in any of this, but I have found a few things that work for me. So with that said, let's dive right into the solution, or how to actually use this in your life and business. So the way you use this is by becoming aware of the present moment. And realize that this is all you will ever have. Even when the future comes, it will come as the present moment. So all of your life has been nothing but moments of now. Because if you can't be content now, why do you think you will be in the future? More money, more success, or more something else is not going to give you lasting happiness. Only you can give that to yourself. If things outside of you could give you happiness, there would be no unhappy millionaires or celebrities. But look around you, there's plenty of them, and some of them are deeply, deeply unhappy. And on the flip side, we have people who don't have much in life, but they enjoy themselves and they're happy. Somehow they seem to have what most people seek. And what most people seek is the peace that's already inside of us. And I can't answer for everyone, but I can say that the biggest difference for me has been realizing that I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind my thoughts. And I say behind here, but really the awareness is everywhere. So there's really no location in space where this is, because this is who you are. So let's take another example just to make this a bit more concrete, because I know I'm going deep here. So let's say a thought pops up for me that I'm not good enough while I'm creating a course. And what I do is I simply notice it and observe the thought without analyzing or trying to figure it out. I welcome it into my home. I say yes to it. I fire the bouncers and let the thought or feeling be there. And I stay quiet inside. I don't get involved and I don't give it fuel. It's simple, but it's not easy, or at least it hasn't been for me. I'm not always able to be completely present with everything that comes, but that's okay. You don't have to be perfect. It's taken me years to reach a place where I'm able to stay present for most of the day, and I still have a lot of room to grow. So this is something I'm aware of, because if I feel perfection coming on, then thoughts will be coming up of me having to be better at this. But if I just notice those and let them be, then everything's fine as it is. I'm here talking to you and everything's fine right here, right now. What could make it not fine is trying to think of the future or the past. So just stay in the present moment, breathe, and notice what's going on right here. So I know this may not be entirely clear yet, so let's go deeper so you can get clarity on this. And let's go deeper by me showing you how you can do this. So right now, let's take a trip into the present moment. So notice what's going on around you. You're listening to my voice. Notice how your body feels. And become aware of any sounds other than my voice. Also notice any thoughts popping up and just let them be there. Welcome them. Just like if you see a butterfly when you're sitting outside, you aren't immediately going to try and catch it or do anything to it. So just let your thoughts be like that butterfly. Let them be and do what they do. Because most people try to push their thoughts away and it doesn't work. So invite your thoughts into your house. Just become deeply present in the here and now. Forget about past and future and pretend that they don't exist just for now. And notice your breathing going in and out. Become deeply curious about your breath. And also notice who is aware of all of this. Because you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. You are not the dance. You are the dance floor. If you still have thoughts popping up, that's fine. Just let them be. Thoughts will always come and go. Because thoughts are a part of the human experience. But remember that there's nothing you have to do and there's no one you have to be. You are already complete. So stop all grasping and trying to get something or somewhere and stay right here, right now. Just accept the present moment as it is and welcome any complaints, excuses or judgments or whatever keeps popping up for you and just let it be there. Okay, so now that you've dipped your toes into the present moment, how do you use this in your life and business? Well, first, don't make this another thing to put on your to-do list. Start small. For example, every hour you could take 5 breaths where you are very present with your body and breathing. Or when you get time, notice what you're feeling and or thinking and welcome it in. Say yes to it. And especially when you feel anxious, afraid, or stressed, simply return to the present moment, breathe, and notice what's here now. Because this comes down to stopping resisting what is and welcoming it. Because resisting the present moment is what most people do, and it's not going to help you feel any better. And when you're doing this, notice that you are not the stress, fear, anxiety, or any feeling that comes up for you. Because all feelings are sensations. And then we label those sensations as fear, joy, happiness, anxiety, or whatever it is. Even with all these feelings and sensations, you will notice that you are not those sensations because you would not be able to be aware of them if you were them. You would just be them. So notice who is aware of all of these sensations, feelings, and thoughts. Because you are that. You are the awareness behind it all. And again, I'm using the word behind here, but there's really no distinction. So I've been playing with meditation and being in the present moment for a long time. And right now I try to stay as present as possible in daily life. because it's when you make this shift into daily living that everything changes. You start letting go of old patterns of anxiety, stress, uncertainty, and fear, and you start noticing your own conditioning, because that's all it really is. We pick up this stuff in our childhood all the way up to the age you're now. And then we act it out because that's how we've learned to deal with things. But it doesn't really have to be that way. You can become aware of it and let the patterns act out and let them do what they do. But I think you will find if you stay aware of any patterns, they will slowly start breaking away. And obviously some patterns will always be there. So this is not about getting rid of anything. This is about simply staying present in the here and now and seeing what happens. It's about becoming a curious observer of your life. And for me, the more challenging things get now, and the more anxious or afraid I get, the more present I become, because I become really curious about what's going on when I'm feeling bad. And really the bottom line here is that we don't have to think as much as we think we do. You can be without thinking for most of the day, and it's going to help minimize a lot of stress, anxiety, and fear. Now, one objection you may have is, how am I supposed to live like this? I can't live without thinking. And this is not about eliminating thought. It's about reclaiming your seat as the emperor, because the mind is a poor master, as you've probably noticed in the past. And you will most likely have thoughts that keep you from the present moment, but if you can stay aware of even those thoughts, you will feel more at peace. And it's not going to be easy in the beginning. You may have thoughts pop up and then you act out those thoughts, and it's only later that you notice that you became completely immersed in those thoughts. And that means you're making progress because you're noticing things. So maybe next time you still notice that you got immersed in your thoughts, but this time you're a bit quicker, and then you become better and better at it. And after a while you may start noticing thoughts coming up as they come up, especially thoughts that really pull you, because we all have our favorite thoughts that grab our attention. For example, we all have to deal with money and financial things, so that might be a huge thing for you, or even relationships or your body or whatever it is. If you can stay present with even what seem like the scariest of thoughts, you will realize something profound. And remember, don't take this too seriously, and don't take your thoughts too seriously. Just play with this and experiment and see how it fits into your life. So simply notice what's here now. Notice your breathing. Centering yourself in your breath is always a nice way to anchor yourself in the present moment. But in the end, just have fun with this, because this isn't serious. Nothing is really serious in life, but we make it seem so serious. And that really brings us to the end of this episode, and I want to give you the takeaway. And really the thing I want you to remember is that if there are no thoughts, no future, and no past, you are already content and peaceful, because that is who you are at your core. You don't have to get rid of your thoughts, because they will come and go. As long as you stay as the awareness behind it all, things are fine. And even when you don't stay as the awareness, it's still there and things are still fine. It's only your thinking that makes everything seem not fine. So welcome both the good and the bad thoughts and feelings. And I'd say to just try it. Say yes to whatever feelings come and welcome them in. And if you can stay present when you talk to clients, create products, or work on your business, it will ooze into everything you do, and people will notice. They will feel it in what you put out there. And this is especially true if you deal with customers or clients directly. I've also found that I do my best work when I stay completely present. So if I'm writing an article and I stay completely present in my body, then it's almost sometimes seems like it's not me writing the article. The article writing is just happening. And this is what I think most people call the writing zone. And it's all about staying right here, right now, and letting it happen. And if you can stay present with your clients and give them complete attention, they will notice, because most people only use people as a means to an end. So that's really all for this episode of the Lifestyle Liberation Podcast. And as always, if you have any questions or want to learn more about me, feel free to come visit me at wakeupcloud.com. I know this episode has been a bit different, so I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode. This is Henry signing out. Bye for now.